Oh, okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and it is time now to get into some preparation for the finals of the West Regional here in San Francisco for the Universal Open Rocket League Tournament. That right there is the Golden Gate Bridge looking over the beautiful San Francisco Bay. And I, ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Aki, your host, and we're going to take you through some of the brackets here. As you guys can see, the final teams have now been decided here to come out of the West Regional. We had Fibion actually advance past Chickens 3-0. Sizzle Your Cobb also with a dominating 3-0 performance over Set to Destroy. So our finals are set. Fibion versus Sizzle Your Cobb, and Alex is with one of the teams right now.
Thank you, Kevin. Of course, I'm with Fibion. They swept their way through the bracket. Actually, both grand finalists swept their way through the bracket. But hey, to Chicago, gentlemen, congrats on getting this far. We talked a little bit after the last match, kind of speculating about what was going to happen there. How's it been in this break while watching that last match, seeing Sizz and Jacob and how good they appear to be? How was the break there, and how was watching those games, and how is that playing into your preparation?
They're both super good, like best in the world, but it's so hard to predict how they're going to play, especially when we're going to play them. So I just hope we win.
Yeah, they're super unpredictable, but then again, like their mechanics aren't like nothing we haven't seen. So I'm not afraid to I don't think we'll lose, to be honest.
Wow, that confident. Honestly, we were talking to them, and they, in the interviews, they were very confident, very fun. But then when we brought you guys up, they got pretty sis. You're like, you know what? Those guys, they're good. They're pretty good. They're showing you a lot of respect. So talk to me more about, getting into this final against these two top caliber players. Are y'all feeling any pressure right now, or are you trying to really, stick with your game plan? Talk to me more about your mentality going into this next match.
Yeah, I don't know. We're kind of nervous. I'm a little nervous just because we've come so far, into the scene, and it's just going to be unexpected what happens.
Yeah, I think they're a little more relaxed because this is our first LAN while they've competed at multiple. But then again, I don't know, anything can happen. So
yeah, if we've learned anything today, that's probably it. As far as the finals here, you guys are already into Santa Ana. This is the focus for you guys, winning this final here at the West Regional, getting some nice seeding going into Santa Ana. What would a victory here mean to you, especially over a team like Jacob and Sizz at the caliber of Rocket League play that we're seeing?
Beating them would just prove of what we can do and what we're capable of.
Yeah, it's just a huge confidence booster and relief that for the seeding sake of it, knowing that we don't have the worst seeding going to Santa Ana, so we don't have to play some top tier God squad. But yeah, if we win this, then it'll really help our performance at Santa Ana.
All right, guys. Well, again, super fun to watch you guys play. I'm going to let you go and get practice and get ready for this next match. Best of luck in the finals. That's Fibion, guys. We'll see how they do in the finals coming up next. Back to you, Kevin.
All right, thank you very much, Alex. And, of course, we're going to take a little bit closer look at Fibion here because do they have their work cut out for them? Obviously, we know that Sizzle Your Cobb has been dominating teams today, but let's not forget, Fibion hasn't lost a game either. So how do they go through and make this finals a real match?
I think the biggest thing that they're going to have to do is keep doing everything that they've been doing all day today, which is showing great control. We have seen more errors on the side of Fibion than we have seen on the side of Sizzle Your Cobb. So it's going to be really important that they pull things together and find a way to be able to make sure that they don't crumble underneath the pressure of playing, Sizzle Your Cobb.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So, Wave, let's follow up on that a little bit. We now know our 16 teams that are punched, so both these guys maybe have a little bit less pressure on them, I would expect. They already know they're going to the grand finals. Is that going to make any difference here, or do you think one team's playing with less pressure?
If anything, it maybe makes them both a little bit more deadly. I don't know who it would favor here because I think that probably Sizzle was already playing with not that much pressure. These guys are veterans of a LAN stage, and you heard from Fibion that they were there. This is their first time playing in a LAN environment, and so this was a big deal to them. I think maybe having that lack of pressure on them, just knowing they're already going to be there, it's just playing for seeding here in the finals, could really help. And the thing I think that's really interesting about this tournament, especially where it falls just before the RLCS qualifiers for 3v3, because Fibion is a 3v3 roster, and two of their players are here. We've had in Season 2, there was a team called Momentum that everyone thought was the best team, and they were going to win everything, and they didn't qualify. Then there was Iris in Season 3. Everyone thought they were going to win anything. They didn't qualify, and everyone's saying the same stuff about Fibion here. Everyone's been like, oh, they're the best team. They're going to qualify, and I'm like, I don't know. But this tournament, with where it falls, the fact that they are having so much success on a stage of this level, not only is that a good testament to the fact that they're not going to have that same sort of disappointment, but also this sort of practice is exactly what they need to prepare themselves for those qualifiers. So this tournament is really doing them dividends, not just for the right here and for Santa Ana, but also for their larger Rocket League roster.
All right, well, speaking of Santa Ana, we got to find out how the teams actually got to this point and which teams have punched their ticket so far. As a reminder, the grand finals are going to be August 26th and 27th in Santa Ana, California at the Esports Arena. On the 26th, broadcast starts at 8 p.m. Eastern on the NBC Sports app and Twitch, and of course, we'll carry over onto NBC Sports starting at midnight Eastern time. Then the next day on the 27th, we'll begin our broadcast at 5 p.m. Eastern, again streaming live on Twitch and the NBC app, before moving on to a 9 p.m. Eastern primetime broadcast for the actual grand finals and to find out who is going to walk home with that #1 overall prize. So these are the teams that have now punched their ticket. We can, of course, add 2 new names to this as we know who's advancing past the West Regional. But I want to take a look in depth at some of these regions and some of these teams. First one I'm going to start with is Europe. A lot of people have been asking about Europe, how things went. So just look at those 4 team names there. Gale Force Esports, Mockit, Method, Flipside Tactics. What do you guys know about those teams? How competitive do you think they'll be at the grand finals?
There was a couple regionals ago, you asked us about what team you think that I believe has the most synergy, and I named to you Marky and Cux. That's from Flipside Tactics. Those guys playing probably what is considered to be the Rocket League dynasty. Now, as of late, their performance maybe hasn't been so hot, kind of falling off, if you will. But seeing them qualify in a really difficult European bracket, along with the likes of Gale Force Esports as well. I believe that's K-Dop and Violent Panda. We saw Mock. I'm not sure it's Pashy, and I'm not sure who he teamed up with, but
one of his teammates from Mockit, for sure.
Either Freaky or Fairy Peak. But I mean, we just see so many, along with Method, we see so many great teams. Teams which, you know, if we were in the 3v3 in RLCS, they might be considered seed 1, 2, 3, and 4. These are the real deal. And when it comes to 2v2 especially, I consider the fact that Europe has a better understanding of how to play the 2v2 format than North America.
I think it's really interesting because we're talking about Flipside here. We're talking about, you know, a team that was a dynasty in the beginning of Rocket League and has since kind of fallen from grace. But why have they fallen from grace in the 3v3 scene? It's because finding that third player has always been a difficulty of who do we synergize with, and so they've been kind of going through a couple different players over the last year. And so here, in a 2v2 format, they get rid of that whole third player situation, and they just go back to the 2 gods of Rocket League, Marky Duda and Cookster97. Cookster was considered the best player in the world, best player of the year back in last year. So I think they are absolutely a team to be very much on the watch for right now.
All right, fair enough. Let's look at the other regions as well. We'll actually start with the East Regional, of course. That was in Philadelphia, played last Saturday a little while ago. And the 2 teams who came out of that were G2A and G2B. It was an all G2 affair. We saw some of our most one-sided matches as well over the course of that tournament as well. But let's do a little bit of retrospective thinking here. How strong do these G2A, G2B teams look? Maybe even they were a bit short-handed as well against a team like Sizzle Your Cobb or Fibion that we're seeing today.
I'm going to keep it real here as far as G2B goes. Jazzo, the G2 manager, man, I love the guy. He's a great, but he is not cut out to be a professional Rocket League player. I'm sorry, man, it's the truth.
Called out.
It's a little savage.
All right.
But I mean, he doesn't have the experience. He doesn't have LAN experience. And coming with Kronovi, I do consider that Philly qualifier to be one of the easier, if not the easiest regional that we've seen. Apart from G2A, who I consider is going to be a potential winner. But we talk about Chain Naps. He's no longer a factor. He's not going to be playing on that G2A roster, which is part of the ease of their qualification. It's going to be Rizzo and Stev on G2A. And Stev's a great player. I have confidence that Rizzo and Stev can make things happen, even though they don't have the practice together. But G2B, I don't think that they're going to be making big moves, even though they have the likes of Kronovi. I just don't see them having success at LAN.
To make it a little bit less real, I think that if we're judging teams on the way that they're named, these teams both get swept and are immediately out. G2A and G2B, that is the laziest team naming I've ever heard. Come on,
where's
guys.
G2 Fire, G2 Ice? Where's the
literally anything?
I don't care.
Whatever.
Anything. Just pick any Pokemon genre and put it in there. We'll be good. Okay, so let's broaden this out a little bit, though. Which teams from all of the regionals that we've seen so far have really stood out to you? Which ones, Quinn, you said that you're thinking maybe even Sizzle Your Cobb is the most impressive team you've seen. Is anyone from the previous regionals match up to that?
Cloud9?
Cloud9, the thing with Cloud9 is that we didn't really get to see them stack up against a team, you know, like how we saw Sizzle Your Cobb just did against Destroy, right? So I think that there's going to be a little bit of a disadvantage as far as judging these 2 teams. I think Cloud9 is going to be one of the best teams. Squishy Muffins, that one incredible ceiling shot, man. Oh, I can never get enough of watching it. And There are players on Twitter agreeing with me, easily one of the best, if not the best, shot we have ever seen in a tournament to date.
Yeah, is this the one here? No, this is we played earlier. Sorry, I was confused. I was looking at the colors. But yeah, these guys.
Prime Thunder as well is also going to be there in the finals. He showed us that he can play with his teammate Wonder. They had a fantastic performance, and especially what seemed to be a close series against Pepiopi as well. But really, I think that Sizzle Your Cobb, in my mind, is going to be one of the best rosters there. As long as they can maintain their performance, you know, it's a different day. It's going to be,
of course. And you never know with these teams now that they know they're guaranteed money, what their strategy is going to be the next 2 weeks. Because let's be real, we saw some of the teams who came into the regionals and they were like, you know, I formed a couple of days ago, or, you know, we have a sub or something like that. But now they got 2 weeks to do nothing but 2v2. What do you expect to change, if anything, from these guys? Better mechanical play, better teamwork, better strategy? What's going to come out of this training period?
I think the two teams to learn from so far were Cloud9 and Sizzle Your Cobb. I think that the way these two guys have played, and Fabian as well to an extent, they showed some really great teamwork. But I think that everyone's going to look and see what did these three teams do that made them so successful, and you're going to look and you're going to see it's controlling the match, using it with boost, with 50-50s, with interference, just overall great ways to limit the abilities of the other team.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, and that was the Northeast bracket. This is actually the Midwest Regional as well, as you can see, which finished up yesterday actually in Chicago, Illinois, as we had DapG take out Splice 3-1. And it was really weird for me yesterday, right? Because all of these games were super entertaining. They were all super close, but I don't know, and maybe I'm just being unfair to DapG and Splice here, but I don't know if these guys are quite the Cloud9 or the Sizzle Your Cobb level that we've seen.
I think that we've talked a lot about scaling to your opponents, and I think that DapG is a team that, when we're talking about teams that are going to make waves and the finals, I think it's an injustice that we haven't talked about them yet. These are two fantastic players. Garrett G is on a team with Jacob. They are both world champion level players. They haven't won a championship yet. They came in third in last season, but they are both fantastic. Dapper, also a player who's been ridiculous for a while.
X Games champion.
They did. They won at the X Games, absolutely. So it's been I think the DapG is absolutely a team that we have to be on the watch out for.
All right, guys. Well, actually, we're going to get things set up now for the finals of this Western Regional, which is going to happen in just a little bit. I'm super excited because we are going to be live on air, NBC Sports Bay Area here in just a second as well. Is it going to be Sizzle Your Cobb? Is it going to be Fabian who takes home the top seed from this regional? We're going to find out right after this.